It's Wednesday, November 19th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. An elderly man's miraculous story of surviving a car crash in water. Before they compete for Olympic glory, Canada's curlers have to win in Halifax.
Chilly but sunny weather for Thursday in the Maritimes. Then a weather front from the west brings rain and showers Friday night into Saturday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We begin with a story you'll only see on CTV News. His family is calling it a miracle. A New Brunswick senior who crashed his car in a body of water managed to climb out, pull himself up a rocky embankment to safety. CTV's Derek Haggett has his incredible tale.
Dad, say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
He's in good spirits now, but Gerard LeBlanc had a near-death encounter on Sunday.
Describing it feels like I'm describing a movie scene.
Cindy Levesque's 86-year-old father crashed his car into a body of water on Route 490 just north of Moncton. It was snowing heavily at the time, and LeBlanc lost control of his Toyota Corolla and slid down a rocky embankment into a body of water.
He couldn't get the car doors or the windows open, so he had to climb in the back of the car.
Somehow, he was able to grab a torque wrench.
And with that, he managed to bust the back window and escape. So when he got out of the car, he was in chest-deep water.
Once he climbed up the rocks, passerbys stopped to help. What makes the story even more incredible is the man from Rogersville did it all with broken bones in his neck and spine.
I don't know how he managed to crawl on his belly to get all the way up to get help because it was cold and all the rocks were, covered in snow and frozen.
Her father was in good health before the crash, Levesque says, and was still working.
At 86 years old, he walks every day. He's quite a strong man, so I think that's what probably helped him escape and get the strength to climb up that big hill. He's gonna make a good recovery, I hope.
He'll likely be in hospital for another 2 to 4 weeks, but he remains in good spirits.
I feel like had he not been so quick to react, it could have been a very different story, and I could have gotten a very different phone call. So it's a miracle that he got out in time.
Cindy Levesque is sharing her father's story because she hopes people traveling this stretch of road will drive with caution, especially when it's wet and slushy. Derek Haggett, CTV News, near Moncton.
As you might expect, news that Halifax homeowners could be hit with a double-digit property tax hike is not going over well. As CTV's Callum Smith reports, councillors are getting an earful.
This is only the starting point of the budget process.
Many councillors raising alarms about the proposed 10.5% property tax increase as budget discussions officially kicked off.
Do we cut back on recreational services? I don't think so. We cut back on the amount of state of the roads. How many more potholes can we afford not to fill in?
Councillor Billy Gillis says difficult conversations are necessary, defining what's essential and what's not, sharing this email from a Haligonian.
With these constant increases year after year you're having, how do you guys even consider this? I may have to lose my house. That's a pretty somber email, and I've received, so far they're starting to pile up.
Most of the $89 million proposed budget increase stems from salary increases, $38 million, and carryover items from the current budget pegged at $24 million. If 10.5% passed, the average tax bill would increase $276, but no one wants that.
Do you think a flat tax rate is possible, or do you...
Not without massive pain, and I seriously doubt that will be worth it, but we'll see. We are facing either a significant increase or significant service cuts that people will feel.
The mayor asking staff how much they would save from a possible staff hiring freeze, chopping the climate action tax by 1/3, and a 10% cut to program grants. All of those passed, but exploring cutting back green bin collection in the summer again did not.
I think for the most part they're on side. I was very gratified that folks were able to get behind the elements of that motion. It sets a good tone for the debate that follows, I believe. We'll see. As you can see, there's some discussion now about adding service enhancements.
Council was told 70% of the budget directly impacts public services, including police, fire, and transit. Councillor Becky Kent asked for 9 new RCMP officers. Council declined 7 of those, but did vote in favor of 2 officers focused on intimate partner violence. Now, to reiterate from the mayor's motion, that's just for staff to explore cost savings, meaning nothing is finalized just yet, and much more discussion is yet to come. Today marks day 1 of a months-long process before the budget is ultimately finalized next spring. Councillor Austin saying in his 9 years around the council table, no budget has ever passed with a starting tax increase. Todd.
Well, perhaps 10.5% is the number floated, so Callum, hard not to react to that. Thank you from City Hall this evening in Halifax. St. John police have charged a man with the murder of a 41-year-old individual earlier this fall. A first-degree murder charge has been laid against Mackenzie Moyer for the October 20th killing of John Robert Bashara. A police news release says Moyer is a federal inmate who was on the loose at the time of the killing. Moyer is currently back in federal prison. Weeks ago, police arrested and charged 2 other men, one 35, the other 36, with the murder in the same case. In what is a first for Atlantic Canada, a Prince Edward Island man is facing terrorism charges. Police say he was allegedly making firearms with a 3D printer and uttering threats. The Mounties announced 51-year-old Daniel Desmond Crowder has been charged. The first charge alleges Crowder knowingly facilitated terrorist activity, possessing and manufacturing firearms. The second relates to possession of weapons, 3D printers, and instructions on how to make AR-15 assault rifles. Our story last night about a man languishing in a New Brunswick hospital for well over a year sparked reaction today. One MLA pointed to problems in how the province is managing the issue. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
Malcolm Jones has spent over 15 months at the St. John Regional Hospital in limbo. Too ill to live on his own, but not ill enough to need a hospital bed. He's waiting for a nursing home bed, and he's far from the only one, says his cousin Karen Wilson.
What about all those other people out there, like him, who have nobody? Maybe no siblings, their parents are already passed. They're literally laying in a hospital bed waiting to die.
As of October 31st, there were 490 people like Malcolm waiting in hospitals across the province, according to the Coalition of Seniors' Rights. Patients who are waiting at one of the 5 regional hospitals were being put at the top of the wait list and moved first when a bed became available. That process ended last week for 4 of those hospitals. The Everett Chalmers in Fredericton is the only one that's still under that prioritization process. But it's a problematic strategy, says MLA Megan Mitten.
I have heard from people who are in more rural hospitals, not in the regional hospitals, who were about to get into a nursing home, who've been in the hospital for a long time, who are not getting the care they need, and were suddenly bumped down the list and told, no, you're going to have to wait months at least now.
The minister responsible for seniors says the province recognizes the issue.
It's a very complex situation, like I said, but we're working very hard with all of partners and all of other departments to make sure that we will find a solution.
In a statement, the Department of Social Development said the average wait time for a nursing home bed in the St. John region is 125 days. Social Development Minister Cindy Miles was not made available to speak to CTV News. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
There are accusations tonight of people being turned away from Nova Scotia emergency rooms. Those accusations were told today by the opposition NDP, which held a news conference at the Cobequid Health Centre in Lower Sackville. Leader Claudia Chender and area MLA Paul Wozni spoke about conditions at the facility. Wozni says he recently got a call from an ER doctor saying staff were overwhelmed with patients and were turning people away, including one who had suffered a stroke.
Morale is not good. You know, we keep talking about wanting to recruit and retain healthcare professionals, but this is a site where people don't want to stay and work in the long run because they're constantly caught between the rock and the hard place.
Wozni wrote to Health Minister Michelle Thompson about the situation at the centre, and he says he has yet to receive a response. The Cobequid Health Centre has the second busiest ER in the province, according to Wozni, serving people from Sackville, Bedford, Dartmouth, even as far as the Annapolis Valley.
The Houston government has
There's a live look at Uptown St. John right now, where it's currently 1 single degree. Let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell in the Weather Center for our first look at the forecast. A chilly but clear evening, it seems.
Yes, and we're headed into one of the colder nights this week. There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, we still have that chilly air in place, being kept in place by a west wind. It's sort of bringing it off the continent. And two, we've got an area of high pressure in place. And that's going to keep the sky relatively clear of cloud cover tonight. Remember, this time of the year, or the time of the year that we're getting into, cloud cover can often act as a little bit of a blanket, keeping the nighttime temperatures up a little bit. When you're absent that, the temperatures can fall and get colder. So currently around the Maritime region, we have a lot of areas that are sitting now just above the freezing mark by a couple of degrees, and a few locations that are touching on freezing or a degree below at this time, including Fredericton now sitting at -1, and Edmundston, the northwest of New Brunswick, at -1, near zero right now, near Ketchum-Kuchik Park, and also at Shelburne. Taking a look at where we're headed as far as the low temperatures go for tonight, most of the Maritimes will be falling at least a few degrees below the freezing mark, with some areas, especially in the north and western areas of New Brunswick, getting between around -5 and -9, and that is certainly colder for a mid-November night. Now, because we have relatively clear sky conditions, though, it is a favorable night for some night sky viewing. There is expected to be a little bit of patchy cloud cover throughout the night around northern areas of New Brunswick, and maybe a little bit of broken cloud cover that holds on even into the overnight hours around locations in Cape Breton. But for much of the rest of the Maritimes, we should be seeing some fairly clear conditions. So if you're prepared to bundle up, dress a little bit warmer, and brave those colder temperatures, here's what you can see in the night sky. Now, you're not going to be seeing the moon. It's a new moon. It's 0% illuminated, and even if it wasn't, it'd be below the horizon for most of the night. The planet Saturn, though, will be above the southern horizon, and you can spot that at around 8 p.m. And if you have a telescope, you can actually spot a comet. It's Comet Swan, and it'll be located just above Saturn. Now, the aurora is unlikely to be observed tonight. There is a quick International Space Station pass at 5:51. Well, you know what? We're already past that. Never mind. And it was going to be low in the sky anyway, so viewing conditions for that wouldn't have been great. And coming up on Thursday night, Todd, looks like another good night for some night sky viewing around the Maritimes. After that, though, it turns cloudier again for Friday night.
All right. Thank you for all that. We will see you later for the full forecast. The city of Halifax has a new plan for homeless encampments to have them gone within 2 years. It says there is enough shelter and housing options now to make tents unnecessary. CTV's Hafsa Arif has details.
A park closed sign hangs at Lower Flynn Park, marking the first of Halifax's 3 designated encampments set to wind down. The city's new plan means the remaining 2 aren't far behind.
We feel it's a manageable goal to close the 3 encampments in 18 to 24 months, but it will be done in a very carefully phased, measured, and person-centered way.
The city says there are roughly 45 people living outdoors in the Halifax area and 67 indoor spaces available. They believe this is the first time since the crisis began 3 years ago that shelters and supportive housing have caught up to the need.
What you're seeing now is a switch from our staff's primary focus being on providing emergency services to now a new focus on assertively or proactively working to connect people to housing options.
The city will also add rules to remaining encampments, focusing on addressing safety for both those living in tents and people living around them.
And we haven't worked out all the details yet, but it would certainly look like things that have been issues for the community, such as noise and garbage, just uncontrolled growth.
Experts believe this is the right move, but stress the city can't lose sight of the existing challenges.
We can't forget the fact that this is really a crisis of affordability, and we're losing affordable stock. So I think it's really, really important that we still focus on the fact that we got to get people into some form of affordable.
Now, seasonal surges are still expected to happen. The city does expect people to, or some people rather, to come out in the spring and set up tents. But that's where outreach workers will come in to help folks who are outdoors and bring them with additional information on housing options so that they aren't left outdoors. Todd?
All right, Hafsa, downtown Halifax with us this evening. Thank you. One of the largest mills in neighboring Maine has stopped accepting softwood lumber from New Brunswick. The mill has also laid off all its workers because of uncertainty around tariffs. CTV's Nick Moore with the details.
Woodland Pulp in Baileyville, Maine is the largest employer in Washington County and just across the border from New Brunswick, Charlotte County. The mill will shut down sometime later this month and won't reopen again until mid-December. An estimated 144 workers will be laid off temporarily. The U.S. trade war with Canada playing a big role in the closure.
Demand is down somewhat, and I think the pricing has certainly followed that.
In an interview with News Center Maine, mill spokesman Scott Beal says a tariff increase in October prompted the mill to stop accepting softwood lumber from Canada. Beal says normal operations at the mill have been disrupted as a result.
We stopped softwood coming in from the province so that we could understand the dynamics around the tariff.
At the New Brunswick legislature, Natural Resources Minister John Herron was asked what the impact of that mill closure could have here.
It's bound to have an impact on a number of private woodlot owners in that region in particular.
I'm waiting to hear from some of the smaller sawmills and whether they're going to be able to hold on.
John Herron says the provincial lumber industry has not been hit as hard as other areas of Canada, calling the sector resilient.
Having larger entities like Groupe LaBelle, Interfor, and JDI, with some other large mills as well, they're quite resilient.
Green Party leader David Kuhn says small sawmill operators need help now.
They don't operate at the scale of the big super Irving sawmills.
I mean, the bottom line is until we can find some agreement, until the federal government can find some agreement with the American counterparts to ensure that trade is moving again, it's going to go from bad to worse.
Earlier this week, Premier Susan Holt said Prime Minister Mark Carney had indicated a significant new package for softwood lumber was coming from Ottawa. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
Online, for the first time, the National Farmers Union is holding its annual convention in New Brunswick, and you can read more about that at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. They won't give up. So yet another rally was held to protest against property owners' plan to infill a section of Dartmouth Cove.
Save Dartmouth Cove!
The crowd urged the province and its municipal affairs minister to block infilling at Dartmouth Cove. Protesters have been fighting Atlantic Road Construction and Paving's plan to dump pyritic slate into the cove. Transport Canada has given an amended approval for the infill. That happened last month. Halifax Council passed a bylaw that would stop infilling at the cove, at least for now, but the province is reviewing that.
This isn't NIMBY. This isn't just a few people who are worried about their yard. This is an entire community, the greater community of Dartmouth and beyond, who want this bylaw brought in so that Dartmouth Cove can be protected.
The Premier has said the city bylaw wasn't clear in its purpose, calling it ambiguous, and will leave it for the minister to review. Time for us to take a break right now. Still to come, a mostly clear and cold night for the Maritimes. Kaylin has the full forecast. But next, the right to represent.
In curling, this is the pinnacle of what we call a quadrennial, of the 4-year cycle of teams competing all around Canada and the world.
Curlers from across the country are gathering in Halifax to compete for a coveted spot on Canada's Olympic team. Talk about that next.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Olympic Winter Games, still a few months away, but the drive for gold is set to begin in Halifax. The country's best curlers are about to compete for the right to represent Canada in Italy. CTV's Emma Convey has more.
It's all hands on deck.
just days away from the opening draws. Volunteers are installing fresh ice, leveling it to precision, and getting set up for some of the top curlers from across Canada.
In curling, this is the pinnacle of what we call a quadrennial, of the 4-year cycle of teams competing all around Canada and the world, trying to do better, practicing all the time for this one event to win, to wear that maple leaf.
16 teams, 8 men's and 8 women's, will compete over the next week and a half, including some Olympic gold medalists and world champions. It's not the first time Halifax has hosted these trials.
We've had the 2005 trials were here. We also had the 2010 World Men's was here, and there's been previous Briars here before. So there is a track record, and after this, once this is done, we'll see where we go with maybe another one.
It's a team effort. More than 500 volunteers are here. Stephen Mayo is one. He's on the ice crew. He helped with the doubles trials in Liverpool last December and pre-trials in Wolfville a month ago.
When this opportunity came up, I thought it was a great opportunity to learn from the very, very best ice makers in the world and increase my own knowledge about ice making so that I could take that home and apply it at my own club.
They have to do a complete conversion of the arena. Besides taking out the glass and putting drapes over the boards, we have to build the ice up. So that involves leveling the ice that was there for hockey, going over it, painting it, putting in all of the decals, creating the rings, and all of those rings, while they look like they're just there, are measured down to a very fraction of a millimeter, because those distances matter when one team versus the other is trying to get closest to what we call the pin, and that could be the Olympics on the line.
Now, Todd, the rink may look empty now, but come Saturday when the Canadian curling trials kick off at 2 o'clock, the scene will be much different. The round robin goes until Wednesday, then it's on to playoffs for the top teams. And the finals this year are different. This is the first time it's best 2 out of 3. So it really could wrap up on the 29th of November or the 30th. Todd.
All right, lots of curling fans around here. Emma at Scotiabank Centre in downtown Halifax. We'll take another break now. Still to come on a chilly November night, but a good day coming with some sunshine. Kaylin has the details and the full forecast after this. That's a beautiful shot. Lunenburg this afternoon. Not quite sure what vessel that is. I'm sure one of our viewers will let us know. I know there's a couple down there that winter.
Yeah.
But look at that. Still some leaves hanging on.
A few.
Still some blue sky trying to peek out.
The one's lower to the ground, out of the wind a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of coastal scenes in the south shore of Nova Scotia, looks like they've got, well, they do have their dumping day scheduled for Monday, last Monday of November, as always, weather permitting.
Yeah, so look, that's a dangerous fishery, the winter fishery. Can you look that far out and get any sense of what the...
Looks okay, or at least promising right now. Would like to see the winds come down a little bit. They are forecast to pick up a little bit Monday afternoon into evening and night, and there is expected to be an area of showers sort of drifting from just off the coastal areas of the south shore of the province, Shelburne, Queens County, towards Sable Island. So hopefully that improves maybe just a little bit as we work our way through the weekend. Yeah. Want to take a look at weather conditions quickly across the country and talk about how there's some more colder air that's going to be breaking down out of the north. As we're looking out west right now, you can see where that colder air is in place, and that's up around Yellowknife right now, sitting around -14. I mean, just look how much temperatures are colder in around Yellowknife compared to, say, Fort McMurray. Now, that area of polar-sourced air is going to be coming down further into the south, breaking down in through parts of the prairies, and then it's going to sort of refresh this chillier air that we've been experiencing here in the Maritimes as we move through the weekend and next week. So basically what I'm saying is this typical November chill, or even this November chill that's maybe a little bit below average for this time of the year, doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's chilly right now in through parts of Ontario. Sudbury right now sitting at -3, Ottawa at -1, Fredericton at -1, sitting just above 0 at Halifax and Charlottetown, 4 degrees at St. John's. There's the position of the jet stream right now. We are in a dip in the jet stream, and there is that chillier air indicated in through the blues, kind of pooled up in that dip, and then there's the leading edge of that next round of polar air that's going to be on its way into other parts of the country. We can track that through here on a little bit of an outlook that I put together over the next several days. Breaks down first through the prairies, then over parts of northern Ontario and Quebec. And once it gets into Quebec, anytime we get into a west or northwest wind, it's going to tap into that and bring it down to the Maritime region. That's going to happen for Sunday of this weekend. And then in behind that, there's another round of some colder air that's going to be coming in. And then following up in behind that towards the middle part of next week, looking out west, once again, that colder air being indicated here through the very light blues and the whites. It looks like there's going to be another round coming through. So all the way through the end of this month, I would expect some pretty chilly conditions here in the Maritimes. Doesn't look like there's going to be a big extended warm-up for any lengthy period of time. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation for tonight. We talked about this earlier, but looking at a mainly clear night for the region and a fairly clear but cold start to the day on Thursday. Potential for frost developing during the overnight hours. And for Thursday afternoon, mostly sunny around the Maritimes, and we're looking at some fairly clear conditions heading into Thursday evening and Thursday night. So stargazing conditions look pretty good over the next couple of days. Just trust warm for them. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow will be out of the west and the northwest and sustain mostly between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for New Brunswick, falling into a range around -4 to -9 for many communities. Down below the freezing mark for Prince Edward Island tonight, a lot of low temperatures for Nova Scotia, between 0 and -5. Highs for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between 0 and 5 degrees, with central and southern parts of the province with afternoon high temperatures between 1 and 5 degrees. 1 there at Heartland, 5 for Fredericton, and 4 for Moncton. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures right around the mid-single digits. And in the east of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, the north shore and the eastern shore, the high temperatures between 4 and 7 degrees. Northern and central parts of the province with high temperatures between 5 and 7 for Thursday. The Annapolis Valley tomorrow with high temperatures near 6 degrees, and on the south shore of Nova Scotia, high temperatures between 6 and 8. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick. So there is a system coming in Friday night into Saturday. It does look like it'll bring a mixture of showers and flurries along with it. And then in behind it, that chillier air moving back into place for the end of the weekend and around through the start of next week. Because that colder air is in place next Wednesday, there's a chance of a rain-snow mix. For Nova Scotia in the outlook coming up on Friday, some showers arriving late in the day for eastern parts of the province, and then a round of rain moves through on Saturday. After that, it's a chance of flurries on Sunday for eastern areas of Nova Scotia. A mix of sun and cloud follows for Monday and Tuesday of next week, with rain possible next Wednesday. And for Prince Edward Island coming up on Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, high temperatures near 7 degrees, near 7 on Saturday with a round of rain moving through. And behind that, it's a colder northwest wind off the Gulf of St. Lawrence that'll bring the high temperatures down to near 2 degrees for Sunday and Monday, and a chance of flurries off the Gulf. Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud, and then rain possible on Wednesday of next week. Todd.
Yeah, something for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you later in the show. After the break, some of the world's top security and defense experts are gathering in Halifax this weekend for the annual Security Forum. We'll discuss the agenda right after this.
Okay, so coming up on the show tomorrow, giving you a chance to win a $50 gift card to St. Louis Bar and Grill. Wing Sanity is back.
Plus, you could get qualified for $250 as well.
Welcome back. Some of the world's top security and defense experts are gathering in the Maritimes this weekend, and there is plenty to discuss. Peter Van Praag is president of the Halifax International Security Forum, the annual conference happening this weekend. Boy, there's lots to talk about. Welcome.
Appreciate it, Todd. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Where do we start? There is so much happening.
Yeah.
I want to pick up on something that we talked about a couple of interviews ago when it was announced the current administration in the U.S.
Yes.
officially not sending people to this.
Yes.
How is that going to impact the weekend?
Well, Todd, last year at this time, it was right after the U.S. election, and the theme for last year was New Era Arrived. And we were right. We didn't know how right we were going to be, but between last year and this year, things are really different. And the difference is really emanating from the White House. And so, as you said, you're right. We have a great delegation, congressional delegation, 10 United States senators. 10% of the United States Senate is going to be with us, 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats. I think that's a really good sign.
That's significant.
It's very significant. It's one of the biggest that we've ever had. But as you said, the political leadership from the Trump administration decided to sit this one out.
There's been a lot of talk about whether there's a vacuum now with America sort of moving away from its traditional role. The word democracy is used a lot in the plenaries.
Yes.
What you're going to be discussing.
Yes.
Clearly, there's concern that democracy is in trouble.
That's what some people are saying, Todd. So, you know, the United States is our neighbor. It's a great republic. It's going to be celebrating its 250th year since the Declaration of Independence. And at that time, you know, it was a beacon for freedom and democracy to much of the world. 80 years ago, with Canada, with its partners, the United States became the arsenal for democracy. Senator John McCain, a Republican of Arizona, used to come to Halifax International Security Forum and used to remind us every single year about the importance of democracy and that without democracy we can't have security. Well, Todd, democracy has fallen off the agenda in the United States, and that's dangerous. It's dangerous for Canadians, it's dangerous for other American partners, and it's dangerous for Americans. And so what we're going to do at Halifax this year is remind everybody, including our American guests, that democracy is better than any other solution, and that we're going to be nudging them along just to get back on track.
Okay, well, I want to pick up on something you mentioned there in terms of Canada-U.S. partnership in defense. It's very strong. It will continue to be. But what do you make of the recent talk about Canada perhaps moving away from the F-35 contract and looking at the Saab Gripen fighter jet from Sweden? And how does that play into relations between the two countries? Well, if they make that, you know, they make that move with the contract.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, the United States is asking Canada to spend more money on defense, and Prime Minister Carney has said that. And Canada, like every other sovereign nation, can put their dollars that make the most sense for Canadian taxpayers. And so there's a lot of things to be thought about, including the closeness with the United States, but also the closeness with our other NATO allies as well. Everybody's now making new calculations and figuring this out. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, and we're used to the United States setting the tone. And right now, I think Canada and other countries are trying to figure out what it means now to have what is in the United States. Let's just say it's unusual and unpredictable behavior from the political leadership.
I want to read a quote and get your reaction to it. Ukraine is a beacon of hope for every person in the world who treasures freedom and democracy.
Yeah.
That was you. We've just seen more recent attacks from Russia. They seem to be ramping up their attacks. How precarious is the Ukraine situation for what you've just been talking about, democracy?
Well, it's not good. What needs to happen is that everybody who cares about freedom and democracy needs to double down with their support for Ukraine. Right now, the United States has sent some officials over to Kiev to have meetings to see what's possible. It's very, very important that whatever is negotiated is done with the Ukrainians. But the best way to end this war, Todd, is to win this war. And this is still possible. We're not talking about all of the casualties that the Russians have taken. The economy in Russia is very precarious, and instead we're hearing about the civilians being killed and bombed in Kiev, which is a terrible part of the story. But the other part of the story, Todd, is just the fortitude and the perseverance of every single Ukrainian. All of them are heroes, and it's very important for Canada and all of the democratic partners to continue supporting Ukraine.
Peter, I have time for one more question for you. And China is always on the table at the forum because it's so important. We seem to be in a situation now where many countries, including Canada, are looking to China for investment to help their economy.
Sure.
How precarious is that when they're also seen as a threat to?
Yeah, it's not good. You know, I don't blame governments, including the Canadian government, for looking at other markets and what we can do, and I do think Canada needs to diversify its markets. The solution is to get our resources out of the ground, get them to other markets, but at the same time keep reminding the United States that Canada is a great partner, and just working on the United States relationship as well to get the United States back to be more of a predictable partner.
We've talked about this before. Halifax is unique in holding a conference like this, and you know, I think it bears repeating that this might not happen elsewhere.
It couldn't happen anywhere else. This is unique. You know, some people say, oh, it could happen in Toronto, Montreal. No, it couldn't. This is unique to the Maritimes. It's unique to Halifax. The Americans, but not just Americans, the Europeans. We've got folks coming from Japan. We've got folks coming from the African continent. We've got folks coming from all over the world, 60, 70 countries coming, and they love coming. They come back. Our return invite list is 100%. Folks who've come, every time we invite them, they want to come back. They love it here. They love the people here, and it just feels special.
Slightly under the radar, so they can have side discussions without maybe a spotlight?
Todd, you know that a lot of side discussions happen. There's a lot of stuff that goes on set like this, but a lot of conversations behind closed doors, and I think a lot of them are going to be very frank this year.
I'm sure they will. Yeah. Peter Van Prague, thank you very much. Halifax Security Forum, we wish you another good event.
Thank you so much, Todd. It's great to be here.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more of your local news after this. Time for our nightly look at health and medical news. A new national update from Participation is highlighting how much or how little Canadian adults are moving their bodies. CTV's Amanda Debison has that and more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
A new report warns Canadians are not getting enough exercise. The Participation report card says less than half of Canadian adults are meeting the guidelines for physical activity. It's a number that has been stagnant for years. The report says that physical inactivity is costing the healthcare system $3.9 billion a year. The report says even a modest 15% increase in physical activity could save nearly $1 billion each year. South of the border, the Washington State Health Department reports that a resident has been hospitalized with bird flu. It's the first reported case of bird flu in a human in the U.S. in 9 months. Officials also say the patient is infected with a strain of the virus that hasn't been seen in humans before. It's unknown how the older patient caught the virus. Health leaders are contacting people who may have been in close contact with the man to check for symptoms. Finally, roughly 15% of Canadians will report a mild case of seasonal affective disorder in their lifetime. That's according to the Canadian Psychological Association. It's a type of depression that happens during specific seasons, typically the fall and winter. And while it's relatively common, many may not know they have it.
Seasonal affective disorder is really just a feature of a major mood disorder like depression.
Clinical psychologist Craig Sawchuk says symptoms of seasonal affective disorder come and go with a change in seasons and can include feeling sad, sometimes described as feeling blah, limbs can feel heavy, there's low energy, and a tendency to want to sleep more. There may also be cravings for carbs and weight gain.
When those symptoms start to become more prominent, they start to cause problems in day-to-day living, then that's when we look at a difference between just having winter blues versus actually being a problem of clinical concern.
Sawchuk says focusing on lifestyle factors can help. Maintain a regular sleep schedule instead of being tempted to oversleep. Exercise can also help improve mood and health overall, and he says to stay connected with others. Light therapy can also help. Sawchuk says using a light box for 20 to 30 minutes when you wake up can relieve symptoms. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Devison for the Lifeline.
You can call it a royal return. Princess Catherine gave her first public speech since announcing her cancer diagnosis last year, bringing attention to a cause that's close to her heart. Here is ABC's James Longman.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for being here today.
The Princess of Wales' first speech since her cancer diagnosis on the topic perhaps closest to her heart.
My passion and the work of the Centre for Early Childhood stems from one essential truth: that the love we feel in our earliest years fundamentally shapes who we become and how we thrive as adults.
Early childhood quickly became Kate's focus when she entered the public eye. And for this summit, she gathered CEOs from around the world, appealing to them to make work more family-friendly.
As business leaders, you'll face the daily challenge of finding the balance between profitability and having a positive impact. But the two are not and should not be incompatible.
Arguing that making those crucial early years better is, in fact, good business.
At the Centre for Early Childhood, we believe that we must do all we can to create the conditions for love to flourish. That is how we invest in our future.
She doesn't make very many speeches. It's not something that historically has come naturally to her, but I think that showed how important this issue is to her, that she made her first speech in 2 years and that she really wanted to be heard on this subject because it's something that's so important to her.
And Kate also urged more focus on what she called time and tenderness rather than only productivity and success. Perhaps a lesson for us all. James Longman, ABC News in London.
Our business report and wake up weather next.
With Aaron and Peter.
Move 100's $10,000 Move It or Lose It shopping spree happens tomorrow live from Micmac Mall.
And we've got room for one more shopper. If you can make it, be there at 3 tomorrow.
Not a lot of movement on the Dow Jones today. It closed the trading day up a few dozen points. NVIDIA is the biggest of the big tech companies, so when it reports earnings, investors pay close attention. Here's BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez.
NVIDIA reported results for its third quarter, reporting revenue of $57 billion US, easily beating expectations. That's a 62% increase from revenue in the same period last year. The solid report expected to revive confidence in technology stocks, which have been dragged down by nervous investors. They worry about how the billions of dollars being spent on AI infrastructure will turn into revenue. NVIDIA's report pushed its share price up in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.13. West Texas Intermediate crude is down $1.42 to 59.25. Western Canadian Select is up to 48.05, and the TSX gained 241 points today, ending the day at 30,278. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Let's go outside. Chilly? Clear?
It is both of those things out here right now. The wind is lighter, though, which is nice, and that's made it a little bit more pleasant out here on the weather deck compared to a couple of the evenings earlier this week. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. We talked a bit about earlier about how so far dumping day for the South Shore fishery in Nova Scotia is scheduled for Monday. Well, our viewer picture for tonight comes in from Lower Wedgeport, Nova Scotia, showing the boats out in the dock there. This is from Jim Clark. I want to thank Jim very much for taking the time to share this picture with us. Lower Wedgeport for tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud and a high temperature near 7 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritime region. Pretty clear but cold start to the day. Expect early morning temperatures to be a few and in some cases several degrees below the freezing mark. And then into and through Thursday afternoon, it's going to be mostly sunny for the region. A lot of high temperatures tomorrow will be in the range of around 3 to 7 degrees. Winds will be out of the west and northwest, and like today, on the lighter side. Todd.
All right. Thank you, Kalen. We will see you tomorrow. Coming up here as well tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, election avoidance. Murphy's logic on the choice Canadians faced between accepting the federal budget or potentially going right back to the polls. Steve will be here with his thoughts on that tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And finally for us tonight, just in time for the American Thanksgiving, Heinz is reimagining the day after turkey dinner ritual, and it's got a new way to help out. Take a look. Yep, there it is. The food giant is releasing its first ever squeezable bottle of turkey gravy. It's designed, of course, for the leftover sandwiches, the leftover gravy. The launch comes as Heinz says 94% of Americans turn Thanksgiving leftovers into sandwiches, the moisture maker, some of you may know it as. Heinz says the new sauce is made with real turkey broth, promising a, quote, rich, smooth, and homemade taste in a squeeze bottle. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco in this chair at 11:30, and CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has updates anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.